Welcome to the Activated Storytellers 90th podcast, April 2009.
This episode's story is When April Went to Visit March, a story from Ukraine.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly. And together we are
the Activated Storytellers.
And we are podcasting to you this week from Sacramento, California, where we are celebrating National Library Week.
Yippee! National Library Week! Yay!
I hug on my library. Oh, big squeeze for my library.
And we are in Sacramento for National Library Week doing a bunch of shows.
Yes, we have 6 shows this week in Sacramento. Just finished our tour of the San Francisco Bay Area. From here, we'll be heading up to Seattle. A little brief recap on what we've been doing since March.
Well, we've been soaking in hot water.
That's right, in Saratoga Springs, Wyoming.
Saratoga Springs, Wyoming. I guess it was named after, I'm pretty sure it was Saratoga Springs, New York, because it's a hot mineral spring, and you can go, it's free, and it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You go and soak in hot, very hot mineral water.
And when we arrived in Saratoga, it was hot, warm, and sunny, and then we had a snowstorm blow in.
Yes, we actually went swimming outside when it was snowing. That was fun.
No, being in the water was fine. It was getting out that I didn't like.
Really interesting place, and it's not very crowded, especially this time of year. So if you're ever in Saratoga, Wyoming, check out the hot springs.
And this does actually tie in with the story that we're going to be presenting this month, which is When April Went to Visit Spring. You'll see how that comes into play in just a few moments. Well, after Saratoga, we drove across Utah, saw some friends of ours that are also on the road and a family that's preparing to go on the road. And then we came on into Reno, Nevada, visited my family for a while, and then we're, like I said, back out in San Francisco, the Bay Area, where we got to see some more friends, and we got to make some beads.
Right. We have a friend who makes glass beads, and she does some really good ones, but we're beginners, of course.
And she's very patient with us and helps us out, shows us how to make it, and just lets us have fun with it.
We did the first ones last year when we were visiting her, and I still have one of the ones I made. Unfortunately, one of them got lost last year, but one of them I still have on my keychain, and then I have the 2 new ones that we just did.
And I made an owl. She actually originated an owl design and showed me how to do it, and I am the first person that she showed how to make the owls. I had to make mine a little different, though. I had to give mine some hair, and so I call him a punk rocker owl. He's kind of cute.
And we did very briefly just go into San Francisco itself, walked around in Union Square for a bit.
And Chinatown.
And Chinatown, yes. We rode in on BART from the East Bay. BART is the subway and train system, Bay Area Rapid Transit. And we made a special trip out to one BART station because of the artwork hanging on the walls. Really interesting.
Yes, they are movable tiles, and I read about this guy who does the artwork online. We'll look up the link for you and get it in the podcast notes. But he has a few displays of his artwork around the world, and the majority of his artwork is at the South Station, South San Francisco Station, and there's about 16 pieces there, and as you walk by the art, it moves, and it transforms into about 4 different scenarios.
It reminds me of these little things that I really liked when I was a kid. There'd be a little cartoon or something, and you move it slightly, and it changes to a different cartoon. But this is big artwork on a wall, and it does have 4 different facets instead of just 2.
And I think that pretty much catches everybody up to date, so I think it's story time.
All right.
When April Went to Visit March, a story from the Ukraine.
This is a story about 3 months. March, that's me. April,
Heidi-ho.
And May.
Isn't my hat just adorable?
Now, March was rough and gruff and blustery. Yeah, so what? While April was very delicate, with a spring in her step.
Oh, look at the dirt. Isn't it just adorable?
And May was mellow and wise.
April, dear, I don't mean to be rude, but are those flowers in your hair real?
One day, on the outskirts of the village, March bumped into April. Hey, watch where you're going. This is not a wrinkle-free suit I'm wearing here.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Why, it's Mr. March. I haven't seen you in about a year now, I guess. How are things marching with you?
Miss April. Things are just terrible with me, let me tell you. Seems like I'm always right on the tail end of winter. Right now, I'm going through my ides again, and pretty soon I'm going to have an all-out equinox. I tell you, I get no respect.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry to hear about that. Hey, maybe what you need is some honey.
Honey?
Yes, my hobby is raising honeybees, along with my sisters May and June. They say honey has magical powers and can sweeten anyone's outlook. Why don't you have me over for tea on Easter and I'll bring you some honey?
Huh? Yeah, sure, whatever.
Oh, splendid. I'll see you then.
Well, March didn't think much about it until a few days later when he received a note from her.
Dear March, I am looking forward to visiting your house on Sunday. Perhaps I'll bring along my poodles, and we can play croquet with them. Your friend, April.
What? You mean she's really coming? Oh, this is terrible. Me and my big mouth. What am I going to do? I know. I'll let some wild wind out of the bag, and then the wind can blow around all over the place and really put a chill in the air. That ought to keep her at home. Here we go, my little wind. Out of the bag with you.
Oh, that's better. I can breathe again. I think I'm going to blow this place.
And so the wind blew and blew, turning the weather much, much colder. Just as April was on her way to March's house.
Wow, somebody opened the refrigerator. All of that snow all of a sudden. It's very hard to steer my horse-drawn carriage. Oh, I wish it had been designed by humans instead of horses. Oh, whoa, boy. Oh, don't go into that ditch. It's getting worse up ahead. Ooh. We'd better put it in reverse, boy.
So April went back home and parked the carriage and hitched the horse up to a sleigh instead.
There. Let's try this again.
Meanwhile, the wind returned back home to March's house.
Hey, boss. I'm back and I'm hungry. I feel like I could eat a whole big kite for dinner with maybe a couple of flags for dessert.
Did you make it really, really cold out there?
I did.
And did it chase April back home?
It did.
Excellent. Now it'll be a whole year before I have to worry about her again.
Not really. She went back home, and then she got a sleigh, and now she's back on her way here.
What? Oh, no. Well, I guess I'll just have to send out the sunbeams. And so he opened up a box of sunbeams and sent them out toward April to warm things up.
Wow, the weather certainly is changing fast this year. I wish traffic lights would change that fast. I don't know if this sleigh's going to work. The snow is thawing fast and turning to slush. I'm getting stuck. Giddy up there, boy. Oh, no. It's getting muddier and muddier. My sleigh is being slain by the slough. I guess there's no choice but to turn back. Oh, Mr. March is going to be disappointed if I don't show up to his tea.
So she headed back home, and whom should she run into but...
May! What a surprise! It shouldn't be. I follow you quite often. Anyway, I just came to return your watering can. I've put your showers on all of my flowers now. Say, you look a bit flustered. Care to tell your sis what's going on? Well, I was on my way to visit March when it started snowing, and my carriage wouldn't carry. So I came back and got a sleigh, and then the sun came out and thawed the snow, and the sleigh got stuck in the mud. I don't know how I'm going to get there.
Well, you have a boat, don't you?
Yes.
And you know where the river is, don't you?
Yes.
Well, there you go. At least there you'll go if you take the boat to the river, because the river goes all the way to March's house.
It does?
Yes. And when you get back, remind me to talk to you about geography.
So April took her boat to the river and headed toward March's house. He sent the wind back out and the snow came again, but the river was too fast to freeze over. He sent the sunbeams. It got warm again, but the river was too deep to dry up. So April arrived at March's house in plenty of time for tea.
Yoo-hoo! Mr. March, I made it.
Oh, boy. Some years it just doesn't pay to get out of bed. I mean, that's just peachy keen. I was afraid you wouldn't make it because of the snow or the mud or something.
Oh, no. I just came on the river.
Oh, that was mighty clever of you.
Oh, not me. May. It was her idea.
You don't say. I'll have to remember that. And March was angry at May for spoiling his peace and quiet. And he stayed angry for many, many years, often pestering May with his harsh winds and cold weather. And that's why, to this very day, especially in the Ukraine, you'll often find March weather even after May arrives.
And that's the story of when April went to visit March.
So I guess that explains why we often get cold weather in May, especially in Reno. It snows in May. And we mentioned that we're going to be heading north up to Seattle and Oregon. We're going to have a couple of house guests with us.
Couple of RV guests. Yes, we're bringing along a couple of people that have actually recorded podcasts with us in the past. Libby and Eddie are coming with us, two girls, two teenagers, and so we're looking forward to having them along for the ride.
Libby holds the distinction of having stayed with us longer than anyone. She spent a month with us.
She's also the first person to have stayed with us.
That's true, she is.
Mm-hmm. And Eddie is also a fellow traveler family on the road. We're kidnapping her. We're kidnapping them both from California, taking them up to Washington with us. So you can listen to the next episode and hear them. We are on the way to Seattle, Washington area to perform at some schools and then back to the Bay Area to do some more school programs. We will have some more public shows in the summer. We'll be kicking off summer reading programs in June at the Monterey Library. And by the end of summer, we are wrapping it up in Massachusetts. So be watching for us at a library somewhere between Monterey, California and Medford, Massachusetts.
And we have to breeze on out of here. We'll see you next time.
The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you. Read a story or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.